Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another.
It's Jax. What up, Dallas? Let's go.
Martin Luther had a dream, but Freddy Krueger had a Ruger. Ex-Malcolm out the picture, so now we back to the future. Now we back to these losers embracing death like they used to. Poking out they chest, but listen, son, now you leaking that future. So who's the shooter? Is it your man? Or was it a fan? Or was it a stand? I would beg to differ. In hindsight, I bet you he said he was not a nigga. Plus Biggie Smalls was just minding his business, yo. Smoking an Optimo. Somebody got to drop the homie Biggie has got to go. And they couldn't stop it, no, I wish that they could. Yeah, the world needs change, but man, I wish that we would. So why the long frown? A man harmed from a 4 pound. His blood ripples on the floor from the war sound. His mama sitting at the wake, hoping the Lord's found. Another dead, another gone now. Damn.
Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another.
George Eliot said that it's best to be what you wanna be. Fucking do what you wanna do, so I do what I wanna do. Bet you did it to floss, bitch, I did what I wanted. Bet you did it and lost, bitch, I did it and won it. Shit, I'm never coming back. Listen, I just wanna rap. Gee, I told you all of that on about a dozen tracks. I don't give a fuck. I just wanna rap. Spitting fire on this track like a fucking Thundercat. Plus this mic is bleeding roho. This shit is a no-no. Rolling in that low-low. Plus I'm from that Baltimore. Need a folk smoking on my logo. Ready for the woe and we so silly with the flow. Somebody got a robo. Heard the lanes and I swear they so too much love for the fame just to go broke. You said think I had the rap game in the show card. Never think I got the whole world in a rope though. Gotta think of damn dog, you crazy. Is he the next Jay-Z? My crystal ball is hazy, but I don't know. Maybe.
Welcome back to the Insane Chick Podcast. This is your host, Chris here. And I'm being joined by somebody I always love having on the show. I think the first show I ever had you on was a Hell No Cupid. Then we finally got you on an Insanity Check. Normally I would say, hey guys, I have a good friend on, I have El join. But you know what? I feel like I'm always underselling my friends. I have political strategist, founder of LJW Community Strategies, and president of the Brooklyn NAACP, Eljoy Williams. How are you doing, man?
Hello. Welcome. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on. Look, like I said, it hit me the other day that I undersell my friends. I have my friend Kyla. I think she's the first black woman to get a PhD in the computer science department at Michigan. And I'm sitting there looking at them like, oh, I know some people that really some doing some shit. I need to start telling people this.
Yes. And lots of black women, black women say being awesome. Mm-hmm. And then it just be like, it's just Kyla from around the way.
Right. Right. Like, I'm the dude sitting there on, like, eating Cheetos on myself. Like, I know her. Sure you do. No, I'm serious. I went to school with her. I'm serious. I know stories. Like, I want the Inquisitor and TMZ to call me up. No, I got the dirt. I know. I was there.
Oh, my goodness.
Ma'am, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great to have you on. We're going to get into you real quick. I do want to quickly get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. Go through my sponsor real quick. Show's being sponsored by Susan Berry, the Pool Law Firm, which is located in Silver Spring, Maryland. Another black one. Susan Berry and Troy Pool are excellent attorneys in the Maryland, D.C. area. They're from the D.C. and Maryland area, so if you're in the DMV, please check them out. Pool Law Firm handles criminal law, family law, and personal injury. So if you need an attorney, want to know more, head over to the wonderful website. The website is www.thepoollawfirm.com. That's pool with an E, P-O-L-E, lawfirm.com. Number 301-585-3014. Check them out. And, again, I'll get the rest of the stuff at the end of the show. Just want to get that out of the way so we can just dive right in to talking to you. Last time we talked, I was taking credit for your current relationship. And
yes.
I still am taking credit. I just wanted you to know that, as you blow up more, I'm also telling people that I did that. So just throwing it out there. I have no shame. In that.
You're responsible for it all.
I'm responsible for it all. Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to be that guy when I'm like 90 years old, talking like when you're all blown up and you got all this stuff going on, be like, yeah, no, it was me that I helped there. It's like, Come, shut up, Granddad.
You and Elon, yes,
yeah.
because Elon is also, you know, when people are talking to him about like media stuff, he's just like, yeah, LJ, because she was on my show. So I get it.
Look, I'm just saying, look, black women do amazing things. And at this point, I realize the greatest strategy in the world is just to stay near you all and hope that success.
It just rubs off a
Yo,
little bit on you guys. I'm just a little bit of our magic.
Hey, look, if I can just get a little bit, you know, I'm not even greedy. Just give me like a quarter of it. Like, I'm good. Like, that's all I want. I just want by association.
You know, that's a mantra in general. I feel like if everybody would just uplift and support black women, we can lift a whole nation up. You know, like if you do that in communities, if you do raising black women out of poverty, raises their households, and you know, so you know, it's just a mantra that everybody should really follow.
Yeah, we really should. We really should. So, yeah, man. So, planning the wedding, we were talking about that before you got on here.
Yes.
How is that going? Because I always hear horror stories. And I actually have several friends that are planning weddings right now. So how's that going?
Well, you know, so I wasn't interested. I was previously married and had you know, and I'm a little bit more practical. I like to think. And so originally I didn't want to have a wedding. You know, I wanted us to go away, get married, and then come back home and have a bomb-ass house party. So I literally wanted, like, we go off, get married, we can send y'all pictures. Nowadays, we could probably Facebook Live it. And then we come back and, like, rent a brownstone in Bed-Stuy somewhere. And then I was like, and then I, you know, spend the money, the $5,000 or $6,000 to get D-Nice to DJ in, like, this house I rented. And, like, we just have a huge party and y'all just give me cash. Like, that would have been perfect to me. You know, the other things that I, you know, wanted was to wear a bomb-ass dress, which I was going to wear a dress anyway. So whether it was going to be around the way or be in Puerto Rico where we are, I'm going to wear a dress. So, you know, so the things that I wanted, you know, I could have done anyway, but, you know, I'm marrying someone who is, the only child and, you know, is of Puerto Rican descent, and like his whole family, I couldn't do that to them. So, like, we're having a wedding.
right. They're like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry. I know. Like, I'm going to let you finish, but.
Right. Yes. Like, whatever you want to do is fine. But what I need to show off. So, but it's great because it's awesome to see how excited, you know, members of my family, and certainly his family and his mom are, you know, about, you know, leading up to, and, you know, the wedding is in Puerto Rico. So, you know, it's going to be a whole, like, you know, destination kind of thing. So, you know, it's definitely exciting, to that, you know. Miles probably won't be as excited until we finish paying for it. But, you know, that's Miles.
Right. Retroactive happiness is just like, well, it's paid off now. So
I'm glad we did it, but leading up to it, I got to pay these bills.
Right. Understandable. I have my show notes, and I told you about this. It's like, I want to talk real quickly just about how relationship changed you. And the reason why I say that is because I saw a tweet of something that you put out that Miles got you, and it was like a bunch of Black Panther comics, and I was like, wait, were you reading before, or is he starting to get you, like, is he starting to do that thing where he's slowly starting to get you reading much more comics that you weren't trying to look at before?
Well, you know, it's both. So one, Black Panther is a character that I loved, you know, and so it just so happened that during our relationship, you know, the new series came out, right? So, so that's one. It was a character, and there are characters that I know that I necessarily, and I like, but I necessarily didn't read the comics, right? So I definitely read Storm. I definitely read Black Panther, you know, so those things they were part of me anyway. But certainly I'm much more aware, and get to hear more stories about, you know, different characters because of him. 'Cause he's a huge, I mean, he has an encyclopedia knowledge of comic books. You can literally ask him any character and he knows the entire origin story, how they interconnect with others. And I think I may have mentioned this to you before, but with our foster daughter, he put her to sleep every night when she was young by telling her origin stories of Marvel characters.
Oh, see, this is why he's a good man. All right.
So he would go through the whole, like, this is how the character came to be. This is what their powers are. This is the story. This is their intersection. This is why I don't like him. This is why, so he did like the whole, and like one of his things I remember, he did Dr. Doom, and it took him, I think he said like 2 weeks to go through Dr. Doom with her.
That's about right.
So, and then he credits that the reason why she.
Oh shit, we just lost. Okay.
Her temperament is because he told her about Dr. Doom. And so he has a really good, and so oftentimes I can just ask him, well, what happened with this, or why is this character in this and this or whatever, and he's like, well, and then he just gives you the whole like knowledge of it. So that's been really interesting, and it's a way to that is different about our relationship. And so, I get to both have girly things and geeky things, which is a great mix of my personality anyway. Right. So the picture you're probably talking about is last Saturday, I got to sleep in late, and then he went to the gym, and when I woke up, I had both flowers and Black Panther comics.
Right. So like I said, I told you before, I like this guy. No, you know what? And we were talking before about, man, I gotta get Miles on. You know what? I'm trying to get more people to join Deepam and I as guests on like the character corners we do. I know. I now know one of my first people I'm gonna call. I'm gonna reach out to get to be on one of these shows, and it's gonna be Miles, because that'll be great. Because like when you said it took him 2 weeks to do Dr. Doom, I'm like, it took us 3 episodes to do Dr. Doom. So no, that makes sense. I was like, that makes sense, and we skipped over a lot too. So I was like, no, that's about right. That's he's raising him right. I like that. I like that. No, it's just funny to me because it's one of those things like in my relationships, I kind of do the same thing too. Oh, we did women. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not really into comic books. I'm like, that's what you think. You will be by the time I'm done. And I feel like but I think that's what makes relationships great. Like no bullshit. Like it was a week or so ago. I was putting comic books on my girlfriend's iPad. Yeah, it's like, so I can do this. You're gonna give me your iPad? Oh yeah, let me go ahead and just read this. Just read this one real quick. It'll be fine. No, you'll like it. You'll be okay. Throw it in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We ease you guys into it, just like you guys ease us into not being cavemen anymore. Like I realize it too. Yeah.
It's fun to evolve.
Right. I literally have in here Black Women Save Our Lives, because like I don't realize until I'm back in a relationship how much I was living like a caveman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to have Miles on an episode of, like, just talking about that. Maybe you should just have an episode with men who are currently in relationships and just talk about, like, those things. But there are some great things you guys add value to us, too. You just don't, although you guys, if you're taller, can be, really dicks and just put things on top of shelves that we can't reach.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw that tweet, too. And I was like, strike one. But I understand.
Right. But there are some fun things, too. But then, some things don't get, like, some things are just too extra. So, recently our library had this great event called the Night of Philosophy and Ideas. It was sponsored by the French Embassy. And they basically had from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning, all of these mini lectures on philosophy and social sciences and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like in heaven, right? So I'm like, Miles, we got to go. And we had a baby, the baby was at home for the weekend. And I grabbed one of my girlfriends. I was like, oh, we have to go. So he's like, all right, yeah, let's go. And so we go and we get through like the first 2 like mini lectures. And he was like, yeah, too geeky for me. I will see you at home.
Yeah. You gotta know your limits, yo. You got to.
And I was like, all right. But the good thing is like knowing your limits, but also being cool with that. Like you don't have to be attached at the hip all the time.
Exactly.
Like you can just enjoy things separately. So, that's cool. And then I occasionally, I started watching wrestling again because of him, because of Sasha Banks exists. So then like he was like, no, you have to watch it again. I'm like, I haven't watched wrestling since The Rock was on. Like, no. And then he had me watch one of the matches with him, and I was introduced to the rivalry between Sasha Banks and Charlotte, and I absolutely hate Charlotte now, and and now we watch it together. So we save each other's lives.
I mean, no, like look, this is the thing that makes me happy is hearing this kind of stuff, because like when you're on Twitter, you get the stories, right, of all the like you get all the people that just you think you shouldn't be in a relationship, or your relationship is horrible, and they do all this kind of crazy stuff. So it's always good to hear about the people that have gone and changed, and you're open to change. Like with me, you know what it is with me is I realize that, so I have a single family home, and so I have a basement where I spend most of my time. That's where the big TV is. So I don't actually sleep in my bed. I don't. I sleep on the couch, and so like I can have. Like I don't need a bunch of sheets. I don't need like, and if I'm at the gym all the time, I don't need a bunch of towels or like I don't need this shit. Then we start dating. You're like, oh wait, I should probably not. It's more than just me and the dog.
Y'all can't sleep on the couch together,
right? No, like it's like, oh shit, I gotta get my life together.
You only have one pillow, don't you?
No,
I only have one pillow.
See, I've learned about this. I have 4 pillows.
Oh,
and I have 4 pillows, and there's 2 different kinds. I have the nice fluffy ones.
You have a Euro pillow,
and I have a flat one. So I don't have the Euro pillow. I'm not need to get that one next. But I have a flat pillow.
I was gonna have to give you all of the praise if that occurred.
Listen, look. I'm almost 35. I'm turning 35 this year. I've learned these lessons. I learn immediately what I need to get and where this is not going to be acceptable. Like it's acceptable for me when it's me and the dog, because Maximus doesn't give a shit. All right, the dog doesn't care. All right, when it's me and the dog, it's okay. When it's me and somebody else, it's like, oh wait a minute, I gotta adjust things. I gotta stop living this caveman fucking life and be a better person.
Well, let me give you another tip. This is just from me to you. Okay, because Miles also helped with this. This is a great suggestion. So I have all of the pillows, right? I have tons of pillows. But then he upgraded and got me a husband. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I've seen
it's
those.
Like
yes.
So he got me that, and it's like furry and comfortable, and then I can sit up in the bed and everything. Man, get you one of those.
Yeah. No, I've seen one of those before. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. This is what I talk to also. Black women save your life, yo. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, you just don't. As like, I was talking to Deep Home about this like a couple of weeks ago, and he said the same thing. He was like, yo, you don't realize how much shit you don't have until a woman enters the picture, and then you realize you're like, oh, so you have more than 2 towels.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you don't use the same one to what. Okay, we're gonna have to
have.
No,
not even that. I'm just talking about like in the like. I have a body towel and I have hand towels and stuff. I have that, but I don't have like 2 sets because it's like it's just me. I'll wash them when I need to, and I'm always at the gym, so it doesn't really matter. Now, can't do that. Yep, everything changes.
No.
Yeah. You you start realizing it's like, yo, if you didn't have a woman in your life, as a guy, a lot of us would go around. We'd have 1 pot. I'm not gonna lie. When I first moved into this house, I think I had 2 pots. I had a regular saucepan, and I had like a fryer, and then I'm not even bullshitting on here. I didn't even have plates. I went to Costco.
Oh my god!
I went to Costco and I got paper plates and plastic forks. Cause it was just like it's just me. It's whatever. Like we turned into cavemen, and then as soon as a woman enters the picture, like I can't live like this. Like I can't. Like you immediately like the shame doesn't kick in until the opposite sex walks in.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Or shit, if you're in the same sex relationship, tell a person you're attracted to walk into your house, then all of a sudden you realize that's when the shame meter, because you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like
I need stuff.
Right? And then you realize how much stuff you need. Like it is truly amazing. It is truly amazing. Yeah, yeah, that shame kicks in really. It kicks in fast now. Like I know immediately. I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to do this. I can't live like this. I need to get involved in that one. So, oh man,
maybe it would be great for one of us, I guess, to do just like, you know, a meme or like a Instagram post, and it just has a list of things. It's like, you're great, you're now in a relationship. Here's a list of the things you need. You know how when you went to college and they used to have the checklist for us,
yes.
like here's what you need in the dorm. So we should do like a checklist, and it's like, here are the things you need now that you're in a relationship in your partner.
A relationship starter kit,
you probably. Yes, a relationship starter kit. You probably need an extra extra towels.
Right.
You probably need, right? You probably need coasters. Like, you know, we should just do a list of things. Or, you know what? I'm blocking my own blessing. Maybe I need to start a subscription box for brothers who now have girlfriends.
Not a bad idea.
And every month I'll send you things that you should probably have. Do you have wine glasses? Right? Do you have a quart?
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I need to wait till Miles get in this car.
Yeah. No. I mean, no. This is totally something that needs to happen, because it's just like, you know what it is, and it is just one of those things that you're going from thinking about yourself to, hey, there's two people in the house now, you know. So it's fine. It's fine when it's just you, but like even if it's not the person not living with you, just coming over, you're like, oh wait, yeah, I do need that, and oh, I should make that. Like, listen, I have dressers on both sides of my bed filled with books. Yeah. Because they're junk drawers. They're drawers for me just to put shit in, because it's like, just me. Why not? Then I became like, oh man, maybe I should clean that stuff out. Maybe I should actually put things where they belong. Or here's a thought. Throw some things out. Like I literally went through. I went through the drawer, right? So I'm going through the drawer. Why did I find a BlackBerry?
Oh, well, see, that's me in a relationship. That's me because, you know, I am a gadget person.
Right.
And unless I had to turn the phone in, I still have two different Palm Pilots. So I am not the one to like I'm the one in that relationship. Like, yeah. I have two boxes. I think the last time that Elon came over my house, and he went through, I have like several boxes, about 4 boxes of just random technology and cords, right? And so he went through it and he was like, why do you have, oh God, I need this. Oh, wait, I need it like this. Yeah. So you could probably come to my house and that cords you needed, or camera, or, cause that was my hobby, right? Yeah. My hobby was buying the latest technology and trying it out and then figuring out, I don't really like this.
Right.
And then not only do I have the thing, but I actually have it in its original packaging.
Look, I had so many original packaging iPhone earbuds in that drawer. I actually found it wasn't working because I think this is when I actually went and got an iPhone. I had like a Gen 3 iPod.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it wasn't working, but I actually had one of the. So there, I had I can't remember what the last BlackBerry before the touch one they did. I can't remember which one it was called, but I had that one. Like, I'm going through this drawer, going, why do I still have this stuff?
I have the BlackBerry that I had on a political campaign from 2009. I still have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things like your mind just opens up going, maybe you should throw some of the stuff away, or at least pack it up somewhere so it's not taking up actual space. Yeah, it's an incredible realization you go through when it's like, no, but I'm serious though, that relationship starter kit thing I think is a brilliant idea, because so yeah, we sometimes you need that shit, you know, just maybe you should have hey, do you have more than 2 forks? You know, you know. Do you have
Oh my
knives?
goodness.
Yeah, just and at this point, and this is not me anymore. But like I said, it used to be me. Like when I first got into this house, and my first relationship after I got in the house. Trust me, this house. Like now, I've gotten it, so I'm actually pretty good. But when I first moved in this house, like, oh man, I moved in here, what, 7 years ago? 8 years ago? Yeah, no. When I first moved in here, my first girlfriend after I moved in here had to get everything. Like maybe you should look into getting this. How about getting a toaster? How about like it was just like one of the things. Wait, wait, are you toasting?
Do you have a shower mat so I don't slip and bust my ass in your shower, or possibly something for me to step out of the shower onto?
Yes.
Instead of just because you only have one towel, so it's not like I can use that to step on.
So funny story about that. I do have a bath mat. It wasn't in the bathroom because I only have one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's weird. And I was like, well, it's dirty and I just haven't washed it yet. Cause okay, maybe I should get another one. Yeah. No, when I first moved to this house, I didn't have a toaster oven or a toaster. Nigga, I was literally toasting my bread in the oven.
All right, I'm done with this now.
When I say caveman, I'm telling you, caveman. Like, you know, once up above using the gas stove to like toast stuff. Like,
oh my God!
Yeah, like I'm just saying, we're getting kind of close there. All right, let's move on. This will. I feel bad asking about this now because we brought it up. You're like everybody's asking you this. It's just like with everything you have going on, you're planning the wedding. President of the book NAACP, your political strategy, stuff like that. Like, just being a mother, being a fiance, soon to be wife. Like, how do you find the balance? I'm pretty sure with everything you're doing, and everybody's always saying, "Hey, listen to black women" when it comes to being in Trump's America. Like, how do you find that balance of like people not trying to pull you in too many different directions and still finding time to do you?
Well, it is extremely difficult. It's interesting. Miles and I were just talking about that this morning, and he, I'm talking about like all the pressure and everything that's going on, and he's like, "Do you just want to stop the world and get off?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I do." So it is an enormous amount of pressure, and certainly, leading an advocacy organization, doing the political work that I do, and just also having to be present in the moment for an 18-month-old and another.
Oh, LJ, we just broke up and lost you for a second there.
Directly can be overwhelming.
Real quick, you just broke up and lost you for a second there. You were saying you had an 18-year-old. It was right when you said 18-month-old and.
Oh, so certainly having an 18-month-old, another human being as a partner, and, community and, business obligations and family obligations, it can certainly be overwhelming. And so it really in this space is going to take being better at managing all that's going on. Yeah. To tell you the truth, it is a question I get often now, which is, how are you doing in Trump's America?
I think. You know what? Because it's the breakneck speed at which everything feels like it's happening. Like, it just seems like every day. Like, can I breathe? Can I get 24 hours of there not being like, we're just undoing everything that happened in 8 years and. In a month, can I get a breath? Can I
Right.
Can I get a moment?
And considering that he's vacationing every weekend, so he get a break.
Right.
Right. But we don't. And certainly just the mediocrity and just of that a lot of that's the most offending thing to me, right? Is that how mediocre the leadership is, how, people don't understand, what's going on. I was just having a conversation this morning about some of the bills that are being introduced in Arizona to limit protesting. And then there was another, I think in North Carolina or somebody else, another bill proposed on a state level where a state legislator wants to ensure that the concealed carry permit carries over to other states. And I was like, do you not understand how states' rights and constitution work? I was like, you can't legislate on your individual state level what other states have to abide by. Like, what is happening?
Right. Right. Yeah.
That is not your power at all. Congress has the power to do that, and you're at the same time you're in the same party that Congress is telling people states have to dictate that. I was like, you guys are not just listening to no one reads the Constitution. What is happening?
Yeah, no. Well, we know our president doesn't, so there's that.
Right.
Well, their president. I refuse to name him.
Yeah. So it's just. Yeah. It's just overwhelming. And, the thing I tell people is during this time, you are going to have to develop, the way for you to cope is developing what things you are going to respond to and be active on, because you can't do everything. Because if you spin your wheels trying to defend and basically play back and, against this administration, you're going to burn out. And that's what people are counting on, right? People are counting on the burnout by the time we get to June. And people have to, there's enough of people, there's enough of us, there's enough of an opposition, there's enough of a resistance where people have to pick and choose what lines they're going to be on the battlefront for, and then the rest of us can just play supportive roles. And that's the way that you can be, that you can resist the current administration. But also, some of us are going to have to be proactive and thinking long term and thinking about how do we put things in place on the state and national level that would curtail some of these issues. Yeah,
I mean, even with myself, at this point, I think before Trump got elected, I was at some point considering maybe I'll add another insanity check during the week. Maybe every now and then do it. Afterwards, no, I'm keeping it every weekend, because that at least gets me a chance to, by the time I get to the end of the week, the crazy shit that happened at the beginning of the week, I can even forget some of that stuff. Because by the end of the week, there's something brand new. And it's the only way I'm able to kind of keep this show focused. Because like you said, there's just so much that happens. Real quick, the Arizona law you were talking about, I think it's SB 1142, and it expands the state's racketeering laws now aimed at organized crime to include rioting. It redefines what constitutes rioting to include actions that result in damage to property of others, that is so dangerous. That is just, yeah. There was ones I think in North Dakota we were talking about.
There's a.
Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I was saying, the conversations about, the right way to protest versus the wrong way to protest, and people always want to police what that looks like, right? So protest happens, and they're like, this is not what Martin Luther King, did in terms of protest, and it's just like, well, some actions, like God bless his soul, and I'm not obviously disparaging Martin Luther King, but he is not the end-all, be-all of protesting this thing looks like.
No, absolutely. Again, we lost you for a second there, too. Again, cut out. Hold on, guys. We'll get right back in.
That, can be positive or negative. I'm just saying that is not the sole definer of what resisting or protesting looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been. It's ridiculous to see that, and especially when you think about how this country, the original protest, the Tea Party, stuff like that, how that was going. That was built on destruction of property, and now you guys are okay. All right, this is what we're doing. Okay, all right. I see what's going on here. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I think in North Dakota, there's...
and it's just so those of us who I'm always amused, by people who are using the patriot language and using the founders and things like that. I was like, have you you ever read how this like you know what they did to create? Like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
It was
Right.
like, so to say that this is not how you protest, this is not how you resist. And so I was like, so you're saying don't be the very definition of what a patriot and being American is, because that's how the country was created in the first place? Because I can point to that. So you're using the language, but don't know any of the history or the context of how this was done. And so, it's ironic to me. I laugh inside, and then I try to educate people a little bit.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I think in North Dakota or something like that, they're having the laws where they're basically excusing people that if you hit protesters who block the road with your car. It's just like it's just an asinine thing. And I also noticed that a lot of these things have happened when it's people of color.
Right, because it's just who the face is
Mm-hmm.
and the complexion is of the resistor. Right, because you can just compare the language of the resistance of the Tea Party, and look, there's some value and comparison in how the Tea Party during after the election of President Obama, that are very real. I'm all for people fully exercising the rights that they have under the Constitution and in this country, period. And that's no matter who they are, right? The problem is those rights aren't defended and are not equal when they happen to be of citizens who are of a darker hue. And that's what people are missing.
Well, yeah, not only that, but so there's been a lot of comparison. I wasn't actually going to get in this, but like I said, sometimes the show just goes off on tangents. I had a rant this week. I think it was yesterday, on Thursday, and it was about I'm watching. We're getting in the news now. All these town halls that are happening with angry constituents going back and confronting these GOP congressmen about things, and I got really, really angry this week because what I'm seeing is the way that the language being used to talk about these people that are angry at their congressmen is so much different from when you see, let's say, members of the NAACP or members of the black community or indigenous people or anybody stands up in town halls and confronts their congressman about, police brutality or, their water being poisoned or immigration or something like that. The language being used to compare against these mostly white people going to these town halls and confronting the congressman, it's so much different. And it's just, it's annoying. And what really got me too was I'm like, wait a minute. You have the constituents coming in and confronting these congressmen, which again, hey, you should do that. I'm all for confronting these congressmen. But it started hitting me. I'm like, wait a minute. You're chanting to them, do your job, but you voted for them to do this. You voted for them to repeal Obamacare. You voted for them.
You want people to be reasonable and consistent.
I know.
And it doesn't work like that.
Oh, I know. It's just, but what gets me about it is, it's because I'll just say because they're white, they get to do that. Whereas if it was a bunch of black people doing this and this angry, we would be labeled so many different things, and none of our concerns would be heard. And it's very, very frustrating to see this. Like, you're chanting, do your job to a congressman who ran on repealing Obamacare, who ran on all the things you don't want him to do now. Now, all of a sudden, like the people that were in the Tea Party are now the same ones going, but I like my Affordable Care Act. I want to keep it. It's like the Tea Party started because you guys thought the Affordable Care Act was going to bring you death panels. So you brought all these people into Congress to get rid of the thing now that you say you literally cannot live without. Like, there was a woman that got up and was like, the Affordable Care Act is keeping me alive. And I'm like, but you also say you voted for this man. And this man's whole deal was to repeal this act with no plan in place. You held him to no standard to do that. And now, yeah, it's just, again, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see the Women's March and see these women these white women talking about this stuff, and I'm like, but black women have been doing this. They've been organizing, they've been marching, they've been doing, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to not be bitter.
Yes, it is very difficult to not, but you got to pick and choose which things you're going to be active on. But I mean, it's also healthy to point out the hypocrisy, right? Because that creates a better citizenry as well. Right. To say this is what you voted for somebody to do, and they're like, yeah, but then I didn't know, and it's like, okay, it's okay, but now we need to move forward. So it's a lot. It's frustrating. And certainly for those of us, people of color who have been in resistance mode since our existence here in this country, we go through phases in this country where people join us and where people are fighting against us. And the well-meaning white folks, as MLK has said, even in his time, they join us when it's politically expedient and benefits them personally. And then they sit on the sidelines when it's just y'all people. Yeah. And so it's the nature of what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of getting involved here, this is one that I've just been ignorant on this one, and I had no idea this was happening the weekend I was bringing you on. So I did not plot on you on this one. I just wanted to let you know. This is not a plot on me. I've never really until this time, and even now, I don't really pay attention to who's the chair of the DNC. But I guess after the election and
most people don't,
and after the election is gone, that's become a big thing now. Who's going to be the next chair of the DNC? Who's going to what do you think? I'm not going to ask you who do you think is the best chair? And I'm not going to ask you that. But what do you think is some important qualities that the next DNC chair should have? Because we're really seeing some of the strategies out of the DNC. I feel like sometimes it seems like some of these people they're struggling to figure out what the message is going to be. What do you think as somebody who's political strategist, but also you're in an activist space? What do you think the next DNC chair needs to be looking at for strategies for moving forward from resisting Trump to just getting things done that we need to get done?
Yeah. Well, we can have like 3 shows on this, so many different aspects and so many different angles we can take on it. So I'm going to try to be as succinct in your question as I can be.
I know, I'll put you on the spot there.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to, there are certainly people in the structure who are running for vice chair, which, are friends of mine, I'm supporting. There are 2 people particularly running for chair that I'm even caught in between, even though I don't personally have a vote right now. But before we get to the chair, we have to, just give a little context in terms of what the Democratic Party in its entirety is, and how that role is played nationwide. So, nobody is paying attention or paid attention to who the DNC chair was until we get to a presidential election, or unless it's a really dynamic, DNC chair who has a national profile. And equally, as of right now, we're all focused on the Democratic Party, but does anybody know who the Republican chair is?
Exactly.
The Republican national chair is a woman. And sort of leading, and so remember that after President Obama was elected, there was this whole, is the Republican Party doomed kind of conversation that we had because they lost so many elections and things like that. So it's a cyclical thing, right? It's the conversation that happens. But the party itself, the party structure is made up of also all of the state parties and other local parties across the country. Those people who are voting on who the DNC chair will be are people from individual states and local parties who make up who the party is. And when we're talking about who should occupy that national chair is somebody who will do the deep dive into the states and the local parties to really build those up. Because where we have been losing, and I'm speaking as a Democrat, often I speak in the nonpartisan role, but specifically right now speaking as a Democrat, where we have been losing ground in the past 10 years is on the local elections. That and it's probably longer than 10 years. This is just off the top of my head, and not in terms of personally what I know in my current political activism. And so that's state legislatures where Republicans right now control about, I think it's over 30 state legislatures and the governor's mansion. That's also talking about electing judges across the country, school boards. So where these congressional folks that we see that rise to a national level, even in a Republican party, they come from local parties. They come from local communities, and they rise up to this national position. And so we spend so much time trying to win a White House and not really having a strategy, a plan, and a financial network to elect and engage in individual states and locally. And in certain places, the Democratic Party is like a little bit more, if not all the way to the right, than a Republican Party in some states.
Yeah.
So, so that one, I think there also needs to be a clear definition on what being a Democrat is. Because one of the things that's annoying me now in the conversation are, some of the folks that were pro Bernie Sanders during the election cycle, who are talking about we need to take over the Democratic Party. I am so frustrated by this, and partly because they're talking about changing and revolutionizing a system. And I was like, the real change and the real revolution is breaking a two-party system in the country, period.
Right.
That's the real revolution. A revolution of coming in to take over one party so there can also continue to be this two-party system. That's not revolutionary. That's just coming in and taking over something. And so what I would really like, and I think would be really transformational for folks who are that left or that progressive in sort of in the Bernie camp, and I'm just using his name as a qualifier in terms of that category, is breaking systems in each state which continue to foster a two-party system. So I'll give you an example, knowing New York. So people talk about all the time, like, how do we increase voter engagement and, make it more friendly for young people? Right now, because I teach people to be poll workers in New York. If you want to work the polls, right, and there's a lot of young people who would be available to work a poll all day, but you have to be a registered Democrat or a Republican in order to work the polls. And if you have a large population of people not wanting to identify with either of the parties, they've now separated themselves. Not only can't you not vote in primaries, but you can't even work the polling location, which is basically working to make somebody come up, give their name, check their name, and do it. But you can't do either if you're not a registered Democrat or Republican. And that's by the New York State Constitution. Right? So that requires changing the Constitution in order to have this greater participation level, right? In order to do that. So simple things like that. Or the primary system in some states in terms of running for president is based upon having these two major parties. So the real revolution, and I'm saying this even as a Democrat, I think it's unfair to have this even in our federal government, that is either Democrat or Republican. And if you're not either of those two, you're just nothing. And then, you don't have any way to fit in. And so the real revolution and change in our government is allowing for greater, having an expanded view of different political beliefs, and then giving ballot access to people. And that would transform how we elect a president, how we elect Congress, and it maybe wouldn't be all of this gridlock or one party in power if you had to negotiate with other people and other people's way of, other people's views. That would break down some of the gridlock, because now you're dealing in a different political reality. And it's not as if this is some new phenomenon. Plenty of countries across the world do this already.
Yeah.
And so our democracy is both new and antiquated. And so we should look at different ways across the world how we can have greater participation in the democracy.
Yeah, that was the thing that always kind of drew me crazy during an election, when I was like, I would see, and again, Bernie people always think I'm always picking on Bernie, but it's just that I would look at him like, but you're not a Democrat. And I'm not talking about just Bernie himself, to some of his voters, I'm like, but you're not Democrats. Like, you don't believe in the system, in the ideals of Democrats, and you don't believe in the system and the ideals of Republicans either. So let's work on creating another party. And you clearly have passion, you clearly have supporters, you clearly have a movement. You can use that to really make some changes, especially on a local level. You start there. I feel like every 4 years, everybody looks at the top and tries to go for the gold and swing for the fences. I'm like, but you're not going to make it. You're not going to get there now. But if you spent like 8 years building up a movement that slowly starts taking over, your local and state governments, you might be able to get somewhere then. But if you're just, the first time I'm hearing about you and your ideals is when you pop up, the year 18 months before the election. That's going to be kind of hard, to get people there. It's like, what, I don't know. It's just one of those things that, everything you were saying there, it just makes sense,
Yeah. For instance, for me, I would like a Congress that is made up of, and just using the presidential candidates as a barometer in terms of ideology, a Congress that has, Bernie folks and I'm talking about an ideology,
right.
And Clinton folks, and even Trump folks and Tea Party folks, like to have that great mix, because I think that is truly representative of the American people. Right. And so to be able to have that mix, to say, because the goal of, people like to say, how, our government was designed wasn't to pass a whole bunch of laws and stuff. It was basically to eke out what could be probably the best of the best, because after, we like to think we pass a lot of laws, but we really don't.
No.
Because they all die on the vine, and it was designed that way. It was designed not to pass a whole bunch of laws, but only to pass laws that, could possibly be, the most consensus or the most thing, and not to just pass a whole bunch of, laws and regulations or things like that. It was done. And, part of the conservative part of me is I don't think there should be a lot of limits on people pursuing, their livelihood. That's the conservative part of me. But I also believe more of the liberal part of me, that the federal government should, be a protector of the populace and of the American people, and try to limit people, gaining more power than the people. And that requires, that's where me and Republicans disagree. That requires putting in, regulations so that a corporation is not more powerful than the people it's supposed to give goods and services to. That's my personal belief, right? So,
well,
so there are ways to negotiate that. Even when we're talking about laws, as a business owner, I do think even sometimes on the state and local level, there are a lot of different conflicting regulations or things you have to follow, but I also believe in having a strong EPA, so that if I'm a dry cleaner business, I shouldn't be able to just dump stuff wherever I feel like it, that creates a greater harm to people. What I mean?
Here's the crazy thing. If you have this government that has a bunch of different viewpoints like that in there, it becomes easier for even, because again, it, like you said, it represents you. It represents all of us who have. I mean, great, taking the crazy things out, like transgender rights and civil rights for people, taking that stuff out, just on things like the economy and how things should run. You get it. You'll have people that have, hey, I'm really liberal on these social issues here, but I'm not that conservative on on the economy issues, but I'm kind of in the middle. You'll get that gray area, which I think a lot of more people are. Like when it comes to how government works and how it runs, way more people are gray than versus black and white. But we're so forced to always pick black and white.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't represent us. It just doesn't. So, hey, you know what? That was a good answer. See, hey, we went from the DNC chair to just changing the whole entire system. We did pretty good there.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick rapid fire real quick just to get some, this week in Trump stuff together. Yeah. So Jeff Sessions reinstates private prison contracts. You know what the thing about Trump is and everything that's happened there. He is the world's greatest I told you so. Because I remember when last year people were going, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, they're two sides of the same coin. You're like, well, it's bigger than just president. There is AG, there's the attorney general. Who knows what he's going to pick? And then when he named Jeff Sessions, you're just like, hey, guys, I just, had all those people saying, hey, Jeff Sessions isn't racist. He has black friends. He can't be. I know him. And you're like, okay, maybe, but he's like, he just doesn't seem like he'll uphold civil rights as much as he should. And private prison contracts reinstated after Obama's had urged the federal government to ease them. And I believe Hillary Clinton had in her platform to actually completely shut them down. And
yeah, well, it's easy again to point to the example when people are outraged with this, and I'm like, but you need private prisons people to make more money because they're going to be housing what people believe are undocumented immigrants. And, it's this whole law and order policy. So you're going to need places to put all of those people that you're going to lock up. It's easy as an example to point to people. Yeah. See, this is why I tell you elections have consequences, right? Because now you've either not participated or you did and assisted to elect somebody who has appointed these people, but this is very clear who they are. Mm-hmm. And, people like to think, because the immediate reaction from people are like, well, they're criminals. And that's where I was like, but are they criminals? But are they? Or are they just people?
You people say that, they're criminals, but like, they're people. We know that for private prisons are, there's so many things that spawn out of that. There was, there were actually people that went to jail for literally, like judges, I believe, for feeding these private prisons young kids of color. Just putting them in
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Like this happened. You have, and then on top of this, so you have Jeff Sessions reinstating the private prisons on the same week that the Trump administration is literally trying to use ICE as the police force and like you're hearing all these kind of these I don't want to say crazy because they're happening. These just ridiculous stories. Like there were an ICE raid at a high school football game, and kids literally left the game without their parents because their parents were arrested by ICE and detained, and the kids were there. Like you had that going on. There's been the new news about apparently Jeff Sessions and the Trump administration are looking to crack down on marijuana use. After like it's all coming back to what we said because again, who's going to be it's not going to be the white people that you see as a face of the legal marijuana trade now apparently in the country, which drives me crazy every time I see this. Like I know. I think it was in New York. It was like some white woman who like has a delivery service of weed or something like that. And they did a profile on it. Somebody just like, if this was a black person.
Mm-hmm. I actually have, I've tried to sell elected officials in New York my marijuana proposal. And everybody thinks I'm crazy. But my proposal is, so we have a lot of counties upstate New York that are, factories have been closed for some time and, they have employment issues and things like that. But what do they have? They have land. So, and then, you don't need necessarily actual land to grow marijuana anyway. But, I was like, here's what we can do, this upstate downstate partnership where we can in New York that
Hold up, Eljoy. Hold up. You're breaking up right now. Hold up. Hold that thought. Go ahead again.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you want me to start from the
Yeah.
beginning?
Can you start again from the beginning?
Okay. Sure. So my proposal is actually an upstate downstate partnership, so that the state would give preference or priority to grow marijuana upstate New York, and then give a 75-25 or 60-40 preference for people of color to have dispensaries, to have license for dispensaries, because they were mostly impacted by the laws, for and put in jail or serve time for the dispensary licenses, right? And then that's money for upstate, and also money to a population who suffered under the criminalization of marijuana, and create a whole new industry and tax it to the state. And nobody wants to take me up on my proposal.
Well, you lost them at, right? You lost them at the preference to people of color.
Well,
you lost them.
But then I give upstate preference for growth, like that. Upstate would have, how I did is that upstate would have a 5-year preference for growing, and then downstate, and then people of color would have the preference for licenses for 5 years, so they get a head start, right? Mm-hmm. Before come on, we can negotiate this out. It's money for everybody.
Yeah, but see.
And for the state, because then it's sales tax on top of it for the people purchasing. So then the state wins. I'm telling you.
But see, black people. So I'm just like, I like what it reminds me of. It reminds me. It reminds me of some of these things. I can't remember what it was. It was some oh man. It's just like somebody you bring up. It's like, all right, so listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a story about these 3 black women scientists that work for NASA. Oh man, I love this story here, but do they have to be black? It's like that's just what it feels like to me. No, I mean, but honestly, all jokes aside, that sounds like it's one of those practical plans that should please everybody, but things get in the way, and it's just, yeah, no, I mean that sounds like it sounds like it's a perfect plan should get everybody what they need, and it puts money back into communities that were devastated by these drug laws, and doesn't kick them out, because what you're seeing now with the legal marijuana trade is the black and brown people that were most affected by by marijuana laws are being kept out of the trade.
Yep.
Which is like it's so American. Like, don't get me wrong here. That is the American way, but it's frustrating. It's completely frustrating. Speaking of completely frustrating, also in the news with Trump revoking the transgender protections, and there was a story that came out that Betsy DeVos was the last person on the line who was like, oh, she doesn't agree with them, rescinding the order, and she stood in front, but. Has this article, new Education Secretary Betsy DeVos defended the Trump administration's decision to rescind protections for transgender students, arguing that protections were an overreach of the Obama administration.
Yeah, I mean, people are getting caught up in the way in which it was trying to be enforced in terms of the legal, technical way kind of thing. And my thing is, if you want to extend protections for people, like you will find a way. Just like they're trying to find a way now on his travel ban, mm-hmm. Or whatever it is, they will find a legal way to make it happen. And the problem is that people don't start with the bare. Let's start at the basic human level of how can we protect human beings who are being bullied or discriminated against, and what measures can we do to protect them, right? And again, that's what I believe federal government should do, is like, okay, here is this, problem in creating these fears of, transgender people being in the bathroom and praying on people. I'm just like those are, if those not a rampant example of transgender people lurking in bathrooms waiting to molest people. That is not what's happening. What is a mass issue is the massive in states across the country of transgender people disappearing, being discriminated against, being murdered, and being harassed. Now that is not just anecdotal; those are facts that you can trace across the country, right? And so you're creating this boogie figure of a transgender person in a booth waiting for a kid to come in for them to molest it, and that's not what's happening. And if people would start at the basic level of, how can we protect these human beings, instead of trying to legislate against what you believe may or may not be their lifestyle or anything, just start at the basic level. This is a human being who is facing all these issues. What can we do as its government to ensure that this human being is not being discriminated against and is not being harmed? If we start at that basic level instead of creating these unverified claims, then we could get somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that drives me crazy with this whole thing, is just that we keep ignoring the fact that these are the most vulnerable. Like, and I hate the idea of people keep using, what about the kids? Or like, I saw someone the other day goes, the unspoken about victims of this talk about the bathroom laws is the women that have been raped and how they're having to relive this. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. First of all, the logic of that was just ridiculous. But the other thing is,
now they care about women who've been raped.
And that's my thing. It's like, you don't care about these people. You don't care about the kids that are being bullied. You don't care about the women that have been raped. You don't care about, you only care when you can use it to attack another marginalized group. Like, so you use one marginalized group to attack another group of marginalized people only when it suits you. And it just drives me crazy. This is from Hardball. This is Laverne Cox was there, and I can't remember, it's this guy, a congressman or someone who, and Chris Matthews basically just asked him front up, so what bathroom should she use?
So there are people who are harmed by a transgender person going into the bathroom they feel comfortable in. You say people are harmed by that. Who are the people that are harmed?
Students in high school. So remember, this
Who is harmed?
Students in high school.
Describe them. What's the harm?
I think we all understand what the harm is when you have a 14-year-old girl in the locker room. Someone comes in with male genitalia to their locker room. Of course they're going to be harmed. Their rights are not.
That's not actually how that works, though.
But didn't we say are we out in the locker room with our genitalia just out? Is that, because that's not what happened when I go in the bathroom?
No, it's not what happens when I go in the bathroom either. It's like, that's not, I mean, and here's the thing. If that's your problem, then the issue here is not that it's not the genitalia that matter. It's the fact that, hey, that person just assaulted another person. We already have laws against that. We already have things that stop. Like, trust me, a door with a sign on it that says women only doesn't stop the male rapist who wants to rape a woman. I've never seen, like, that's not, some rapist doesn't go,
and if that does work, no one told us that we can just put up signs that says "Don't rape me."
Yeah.
Like,
foiled again.
If that worked, we would just walk around with signs next to us that just says "Don't rape me."
Yeah.
And then a rapist would come by and be like, "Oh, I can't rape her. There's no sign."
And the
so
sign,
that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, come on.
Being protected here, and all I'm asking for is a reasonable discussion, considering their rights. Let these localities decide the issue. That's what we can currently do right now. President Obama was the one that was going to mandate this on everyone. Now localities can decide the issue, and it's not as clear-cut under Title IX. Title IX is for sex discrimination.
I really did love. I really love the idea of the fact that you have. What was I going to say? It was. You're worried. You want states to decide this stuff. Like, states didn't also decide that slavery was okay. Like, all of a sudden now, All of a sudden now, states
again, people want, like people want the laws to work for them in their specific situation and not for everybody.
Yeah.
So, that's what happens.
There are issues being sorted out in the courts.
I want
a Texas judge put an injunction on that. That's the law.
He says that
portrait of the
Title IX
situation.
is sex discrimination and doesn't cover trans people. And then he is saying bathrooms should be based on biological sex. He is talking about
Well, now he's talking about locker rooms. Let's
So there's a lot of different issues here. It's important to have.
Well, what do you respond to his, the way he, Laverne, if you want to respond, we don't have much time here, but I do think we want to air these out in real terms. Go ahead.
I think it's important when we have conversations with and about transgender people that we do not reduce us to body parts. We are more than the sum of our parts. And it's so deeply objectifying and dehumanizing to talk about trans people and reduce us to body parts. That is really disturbing. And we need to look at the evidence. We need to look at all the hundreds of localities all over the country that have public accommodations protections. And that's really what we're talking about for trans people. And everything that he's claiming happens actually doesn't happen. Instead, trans people feel as if they have a right to exist in society. My transition was about me existing in public space and thriving in society. And because I was able to do that, I've been able to thrive. That's all we want.
It's so simple, right? Just be normal. Be treated like we're arguing over humanity, and I hate that. We're literally arguing over humanity, and it's a ridiculous thing here, and it drives me fucking crazy because they have no answer. Like the other side of this has no logical or moral stance on it other than we don't like it. Like you don't care about rape because you don't do anything to stop rape culture. You don't do anything like that. Like these are the same assholes that'll sit here and make laws that about how they're against abortion even in cases of rape. So but here you're talking about something. What about the women who get raped? Like, you don't care about that. Not to mention that's not how rape goes. That's not how rape works. That's not how.
Again,
that's how
we want people to have logic and reason and be consistent in their outrage, and humanity doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. You're right. All right. You know what? I'm gonna skip over a great moment of white privilege. We're gonna do a shorter show today, and actually, you know what? All right, so I'll give you a choice. Do you want to do great moments on white privilege, or I'm not sure if we were doing this when you were on the show. Do you want to do a Whiteness Project Roulette?
A Whiteness Project Roulette? I don't even know what that is, but Miles just lifted his fist, so I imagine that I should choose that one.
Okay. All right. It's been a while since I've done this one, so I gotta get the music together for this segment. Hold on. We're gonna get it, so I can get my my white gamer voice on. In a second. I forgot you've never done this, so this will be great. Yeah, it's been a while since we brought this segment back, so we're gonna do it. So here we go. Everyone's favorite segment. We're doing Whiteness Project Roulette. This is when we go to the whitenessproject.org. They went in and they talk to two different groups. They talk to white millennials, and they also talk to I think it was white collars in Buffalo, New York. And basically what I have my guests do is I'm going to give you the little blurb above three different people, and you're going to tell me you're trying to pick the one who gives the most ridiculous and white and racist answer.
Oh my goodness!
So we're gonna have some great time here. I'm trying to go through. I had some before. Let's see. Here we go. This is Kathie. We're doing the white collars in Buffalo, New York. I have never come across anything that made me aware of my race. That's Kathie. There. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Kathie there. Let's see. We got 500,000 black children are dying every year. Mick. I don't think we've done Mick before. So we got that, and
okay.
Here we go.
Was that in all caps?
It wasn't in all caps. And then we have Kim. I do feel people have preconceived notions about me. So do you want Kim? I feel like people have preconceived notions about me. We have Mick. 500,000 black children are dying every year. Or who was the other person we had here?
Kathie.
It was Kathie. I have never come across anything that made me aware of my race.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go with Mick.
All right, let's go with our buddy Mick. Let's see what Mick says here.
I think they see me as a white person, as a married person, and as a short, hairy person that's overweight. I've been involved in several lawsuits against police departments and municipalities for unlawfully arresting African American male. I purposely try to defend people that are in those kind of situations. I'm not a racist or a bigot, and that I think it is very hurtful if someone assumes that of me just because I'm white or because I could be in favor of a policy that is, say, de facto racist. I'm pro-life, and I think it's rather upsetting when I see people addressing the issue of the bad things that happen to African Americans in society, when in my mind there's nothing worse than, in the context of race, 500,000 black children dying every year, and so it just seems like a giant contradiction to me.
Of course. I knew it was an abortion issue. It's like, I'm not that, people are so concerned with black babies if it has to do with abortion, but not if there are black people, and they're pro-life, but not just the life that, oh God, no.
Oh my God! Like, he started off so well, but you know what? I was catching things up.
He was defending people. I was like, oh, he's defending people.
Yeah.
He doesn't like, and then he went to the legislation, and then he went to the 500,000 black babies.
And I'm looking at this one. I think I've done Mick before, because I was like, I think I had the same reaction. I was like, oh wow, man. I was actually disappointed. I was like, oh man, this is a guy who's actually defending people. Maybe he's saying that 500,000 black people are killed by police every year? I'm like, I don't know.
That's what I thought. Like when he first started talking, I thought he was talking about that, and then we went to the black babies.
Yeah. Yeah. It ends with a little note. It says 10% of white American adults believe whites are racist. 38 believe most blacks are racist. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how that works? Yeah, I start picking up on things like this when people start talking about how when white people start talking about how much good they do for the black community, I'm not gonna lie, I get nervous.
Yeah, maybe, I've never have before, but now I feel like, yeah, that I should be on the lookout for that.
You know what this reminded me of? And I'm going to see it again tomorrow. And I meant to talk about it before we even got into some of the stuff. Shout out to Jordan Peele and Get Out.
I know, we're going to see it tonight.
Hey, listen, it is an amazing film. He does a great job, and he nails certain as black people. we catch and see things that I think white people are they look at the film and they're like, oh, that was funny, and we're like, no, that was horrifying. That happens. You guys actually do this. You say these things to us, and you guys don't think that it's wrong or it's fucked up, but you do. Like there's a moment in the trailer where the lead character, he says to his white girlfriend, he's just like, "Do your parents know I'm black?" She's like, "No, it's not a big deal." It's like, and it's not even what he says afterwards. It's just the look on his face. It's the look on his face that every black person in the audience has to look on their face like, "Come on now, I don't like you think it doesn't matter?" I'm telling you, it does matter, and it's just the nuances in it. There's a twist in the movie that you're not going to see coming, and it really focuses on this idea of, the way white people see black people and how they had, the use of black bodies and them trying to use black bodies for themselves and for their own gain. Like it's a really great film.
Right.
So, so there we go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and listen to the other two just real quick, just to see. We got some time. We got like 10 minutes. So I'm going to see what the other two were saying. So we had picked, let's see here. We had picked, there was Joyce as well, right?
I don't see any.
Oh, nope, sorry. Not you. We don't want you. We want Joyce. Let's see what Joyce said. Joyce says, I've never come across anything that made me aware of my race. So let's see what Miss Joyce says.
I don't really think I've ever come across anything that has made me aware of my race. I really don't. Like I say, I mean, I'm an American before I am anybody else, or any particular group of or a type of person. I'm trying to think of how to actually put this. Benefits of being white. I really don't. I don't believe there is any benefits of anybody's, how they grew up or their particular race or color. I feel like I've accomplished what I've accomplished in life because of the person I am, not the color of my skin. I don't think there are any drawbacks of being black either. I mean, like I say, I have a strong belief that people are people. The world needs to become more colorblind, and that's, they really should just look at a person for who they are and not their background or their, where they came from.
Unreal. Well, it's not unreal because you know what? You hear this all the
But
time.
That's not the most. She just doesn't acknowledge that she's a. I would have fully expected her to say also, I don't see color.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in the same in that same conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it just reminds me that I think earlier in the week, Limbaugh said that Trump's at a disadvantage of being white because Obama's blackness got him everything he wanted, and I was just like, man, I really wish I kind of wish I lived under the Obama administration that white people thought they lived under.
I know.
I want.
And then that we had all of these like new incentives and stuff. I'd have a house. I'd have my business would be like cracked $1 million already.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had the access they think that black people had under the last 8 years of President Obama, I mean, man, I could have really did something with my life.
Right. I mean, I just feel like I wish we had those advantages that they think we had. That'd be pretty amazing there. So, all right. Last thing before we get out of here, I do it every week. People have been sending them in there. It's time for our Black Woman shout out. This week we have Phoenix Deep Rooted Hair Care LLC. PhoenixDeepRooted.com. The company makes all natural hair products that focus on 5 different Phoenix lines: Ash, hair thinning and scalp solutions; Flame, Kinky Curls Collective; Sapphire, Men's Beard Collective; Solar, Lock Maintenance; and Opal, natural cleansing products. And you can get them all at www.phoenixdeeprooted.com. Please go check them out. Like I said, one of the things before I get to Eljo and her Black Woman shout out, I just want to say to everyone who's submitting these to us, and again, you can submit to us if you're a black woman, have a business, want us to promote, submit to us, bwbusiness@mtrnetwork.net. We'll get you in. Again, if we haven't gotten to you yet and you submit it to us, we will get to you. I've just gotten so many responses that I'm trying to go in order here. And I just want to say, this goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the show, that black women are amazing. And black women do so much because I've gotten so many responses of different businesses, and they're all over the place. Like, black women are doing so much right now, and it's truly amazing. And I'm really humbled and glad that I can at least try to give some kind of boost to some of these black women in their businesses. It's just one of the things that I've seen how over the last few years using social media and Twitter, women doing this. So I mean, I've seen women bring up these businesses and create these businesses here, and it's been great to see. So So Eljoy.
Well, shout out to black women creating businesses.
I know, right? Do you have anyone for your black woman shout out?
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about it since I've been on the show. So one, black women don't do a lot about self-promotion. So I will shout myself out first. Good in, my business. I am a political strategist, but particularly because, I have this new service that I'm doing political coaching. So if you happen to be running for office for the first time, you're going to run, say, for school board or for state legislator or county exec or something. And your budget may not be where you can afford a strategist like me. That's like $5,000 to $7,000, sometimes $12,000 a month. But I'm, having a few coaching slots to be able to go over the campaign plan with you, your fundraising plan, maybe introduce you to some people that can help with fundraising, and donate to your campaign. So you can go to my website at eljoywilliams.com. and sign up. And my team gives you a personal call. We go over, if you're running this year or next year, and see what we may be able to help you with. So you can check that out. But I want to give the ultimate Black woman shout out to the Black women who are running in the DNC election. And so it's not as if everybody gets to vote in that election. Like I said, it's DNC leaders. But my girl, Latoya, is running for a vice chair position. Jamu Green is running for DNC chair, really because it's obnoxious that there aren't multiple Black women running for DNC chair, considering how loyal we are to the party. So it just shouldn't be one, even though shout out to Jamu. It should be 3 or 4 Black women, competing, instead of, random men who are all, not to say all of them are random, but, there should be more Black women running, because we certainly are very loyal to the party. But there are women run for fundraising chair, vice chair, chair of the party. So shout out to those Black women who are putting it all on the line and want to represent our party. It should be more of us running and competing.
Black women should be running, loyal. Black women should be running the DNC. They should be running the Democratic Party. It just, after this election, that's the one thing that should have come out of everybody's on top of everybody's list.
No, we were worried about the random white people we lost instead of worrying about the,
that we lost in the 60s.
Yes. So let's figure out how to get the white people we lost back instead of, and not also at the same time, because some of those folks we're not going to get back, because they find comfort in another political ideology that excludes the loyal base that you have. So as a party, we shouldn't want them back. We should be investing in building the coalition that we have, and the backbone of that coalition are Black women. And I was, completely disappointed that people are not talking about that, because, let me tell you something, and I'm going to write a piece about this that happens after this election to see where the party goes. The party may lose me. The party may lose me. And if they are not completely focused on speaking to or investing in Black women who hold up not only the national party, but state parties and these elected officials across the country, there's a possibility not only will you lose me, but there are probably Black women in my generation and in the millennial generation, which you'll never get.
And I'm telling you right now, the first that happens, the Democratic Party's got serious problems, and then 2. If then you all go out and form another party that is, that's going to get a lot of people out there. So, Democrats better, that when everybody says Democrats need to listen, and I'm like, and they're turning to Bernie Sanders or the people that is Bernie Sanders support, I'm like, those are the wrong people to listen to. That's not who you should be listening to. There's a loyal group of people that your candidate's got that you should be focused on right now, and if you don't do that, you're gonna have some problems. So. All right, Eljoy, we thank you for joining me on this Friday. When I hit you up originally about doing this, I knew it was like, I kept having to change. At first, we were gonna do it Saturday, then I was like, Saturday's not gonna work. Can we do Friday? This is the first time I've done an Insane Check on Friday in like forever, maybe ever. So, we kept it a little shorter than usual, but hey, it's my Friday. I'm trying not to be here all day either. So, Eljoy, thank you very much for joining me. Can you please tell? Well, yes, you already did. You told people where they can find you at. Because you shout yourself out for Black Women. Shout out. But please tell people where they can find any other information you want them to know about you before we wrap this up.
Sure. You can go to my website at ljoywilliams.com. I'm on Twitter at ljoywilliams. And so you can find me any of those 2 places. But thank you so much for having me. And I'm getting a look from your friend here. So thank you for having me, and I have to say goodbye.
Yeah, no problem. You go ahead and hang up. I'll go ahead and end the show. Just let them know. Hey, we'll be in touch about the Character Corner.
I will.
That'll buy you some time. So,
Okay.
Thank you very much, Health Joy. For everyone else, I want to thank you guys very much for listening here to the Insanity Check. Coming up soon, we will have make this announcement now. On the premium shows, we have a new show coming out, Molecules and Shit. P-Funk and Cokie Negra are going to be starting a new premium show, science podcast, on the premium network called Molecules and Shit. The first episode they're going to record, I think, next week, but we do have an episode 0 that I might release this week to get everybody a little preview of that. So, again, sign up for MTR Premium. Go to mtrnetwork.net or movietrailerreviews.net and go to MTR Premium at the top, and you'll be able to sign up there. Again, it's $8 a month. You can do that. That's the way we get everything going here. And that's about it. Remember, sign up for, you can subscribe to this, Insanity Check on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review on our Super Tuesday recap feeds or our Character Corner feeds, and we'll read them on those airs. I know a lot of people have things to say about last week's or this week's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. I'm still getting emails about that stuff, so we'll read that again on there. So, again, everyone, thank you guys very much for listening, and until next time, we are out of here. Peace.